Good evening and welcome back to another edition of After the Buzzer. I'm Couper Moorhead at the Kassandra Center where the Miami Heat just took down the Philadelphia 76ers 106-89 at the end of a 6-game road trip for Miami, where the road trip was over, but this felt like the end of that trip was continuing because they had to finish it with this back-to-back at home against Philly. Philly comes in this one hungry at 2-10. Miami 5-7, both teams looking for some success. The difference being, and this will be an overarching theme in everything we talk about tonight, Miami is not looking for an identity. They're just looking for wins. The Heat know who they are under Eric Spoelstra with Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero. This Philadelphia group still finding their footing, still finding their identity, newly assembled with their current roster. So, here's what we're going to talk about tonight. First, Jimmy Butler is back. What does that mean? How did that change the game? Then we'll talk about a move Eric Spoelstra made in the second quarter and why that coaching move might have changed the game entirely. Third, we'll talk briefly about make or miss shots and how that affected the energy of the game. Briefly, just a little bit. I know make or miss, whether shots go in or not. A little obvious, but there's something to talk about there. And lastly, another coaching adjustment, this time about Philadelphia rookie Jared McCain, and how the way the team changed how they were defending him was kind of a microcosm of everything happening throughout this game and how that new coverage changed everything for Philly in the second half. The Heat's offense has always been pretty good with Butler on the floor throughout his tenure here. Tonight, he comes out clearly looking to not make a point because we know what he can do. He doesn't have anything to prove, but get his footing back, get back in rhythm. He comes out, scores two quick earlier ones, getting downhill, getting to the rim, making a short jumper. The way he changes things for Miami is, even for all of that road trip and most of the season, Miami has been shooting the ball really, really well. Coming in tonight, they were number 3 in three-point percentage in the league. And that is always helpful. You're never going to complain about open shots falling, threes falling, but they kind of cover up the need sometimes when they're falling at that rate for downhill, attacks, for rim attempts, for free throws. The stuff that kind of gives you a high floor where the threes represent your ceiling. They kind of take you, put you over the top on certain nights or give you a chance on nights when you otherwise don't have it. Jimmy has always been that sort of offensive floor. When things aren't going right, he can get to the free throw line. Tonight, that's what Jimmy did. Jimmy had the prototypical Jimmy game, 30 points on just 12 shots, 13 of 13 from the free throw line. When Philly went up, they were up by 19 in that second quarter. Things didn't really feel right for the Heat. They looked like a team that was tired. They looked like they had dead legs. They looked like they needed a spark. Jimmy Butler provided that. It wasn't, dramatic. It was a grind. There were a lot of free throws involved. There's hit-aheads in transition. There's some, grinded out post-ups. That's Jimmy's game a lot of the time. And the Heat needed that tonight. They needed it inch by inch, point by point, free throw by free throw. And he really turned that game around in the second quarter, gave them, bought them time to get their offense back on track in the second half when the threes started to fall and they flipped the game on its head. There are some stretches in every season where the offense on-off court is dramatically different with Jimmy on or off. That should be a little bit different this year, especially with the way Tyler Hero is playing, but bar nothing, Jimmy on the court, offensive impact, it's a guarantee for Miami. In the second quarter, Miami is down 19. Philly is playing well. They're making shots. Jared McCain, their rookie, is making shots. Paul George is being aggressive. Embiid played tonight despite being listed as doubtful with an illness beforehand. He warmed up with the intention to play. So Philly had some of their guys without Tyrese Maxey, and they were rolling. They were making shots, playing free and easy. Miami is making a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers. So when Miami is down 19 in that second quarter, Eric Spoelstra is clearly searching for something, and he decided to try out fresh legs, guys who hadn't played much on the road trip. Jimmy Butler hadn't played much on the road trip, came back tonight, looked like Jimmy Butler, fresh legs. Who else? Alec Burks. Alec Burks hadn't played much on the road trip, came in, made a three, made some jumpers, gave the offense a little bit of verve, Who else? Drew Smith. Drew Smith, every time he comes in the game, he doesn't, he reminds me a little bit of Gabe Vincent, does those Gabe Vincent-y things, plays really solid defense no matter how much height he's given up. His hands are always, finding the ball. He gets in the passing lanes, makes spot-up shots. He handles the ball a little bit. Drew Smith finishes plus 23. Alec Burks plus 27. That's not by mistake. Also in that group, Haywood Highsmith, the unsung defensive hero in some ways of Miami's early season. Bam is obviously the anchor of the defense. Man, Haywood Highsmith is just making all the plays on guarding perimeter guys, blowing up passing lanes. Haywood Highsmith is unbelievably important to this team, and he was a huge part of the second quarter lineup too. Kevin Love, again, playing center, being aggressive on defense. We'll get to that a little bit later. What happened in that second quarter was Eric Spoelstra had Tyler Hero out with 9 minutes left in the second. He had Bam Adebayo out with 6 minutes left to go in the second. He never brought them back in. He stuck with that group of bench guys, of the fresh legs guys, and saw what they could do. Well, what they could do is they ate into the lead. That 19-point lead sunk all the way down to 3 points by halftime just because Eric Spoelstra decided what we're doing isn't working. Let's find something. Let's try something new.
Yeah, and everybody understood. Look, basically what I told the guys at halftime is the guys that were grinding, through this road trip, they had put it all out there, and we didn't have a day to gather ourselves. This was an unusual travel, deal, and we wanted to make sure we're not making any excuses. But that's what we have our bench for, to go in there and give us a spark, give us some life, and that's what they did. Drew and Alec, they've been chomping at the bit, and they've been preparing, and they're ready, and they gave us a great spark.
It's a novel idea. Not every coach would do it. A lot of coaches will stay with the rotation, wait for guys, to find something that works. That's a team with an identity, with trust in their coach, trust in the process, knowing, hey, we need a pick-me-up. That group in the second quarter provided a huge pick-me-up and gave the starters time to find their footing in the third quarter and play better. If that second quarter group doesn't eat into the lead, the starters might still be down 15 in the third quarter, and even if you start making shots, as they did, it wouldn't matter because you're still down by so much. But because they're down by 3 at halftime, because Spoelstra made that move in the second quarter to trust a bench lineup and trust Jimmy to lead them, then it all worked out. You're down 3, make shots in the third, take the lead. Now Philly's playing from behind. So, great coaching move. I know everybody likes to be critical of rotations all the time. It's important to call out. Sometimes rotation moves really matter. That was a gutsy one by Spoelstra on a night when things weren't working, and it worked out. Okay, third quarter, make or miss. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but quickly, Coop, obviously shots go in, you're going to win games. You're going to have good stretches. I get it. In the early in the game, Miami wasn't making their threes. Philly was making them. Philly gets their energy. Philly goes on a run. Then all those threes stop falling. Philly was earning a lot of open looks in that second quarter when Miami ate into their lead. They were getting open corner threes, open wing threes, but those shots weren't falling, and you could feel the energy of the game changing with every one of those shots that didn't fall. Third quarter comes around, Miami hits 4 threes, like bang, 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 another 3. Now the energy of the game is different. And yeah, not all of this really comes out in the stats. And I love stats. I love the stats. I love the video. I love all the advanced analytics. But a lot of this is just about the energy of the game. And if you believe in that stuff, then you have to factor in what make or miss really means. When teams start making shots, they will have more energy. They'll have more of that joie de vivre in their offense. Remember back in that home opener, the third quarter, they missed all those shots against Orlando, and they said, hey, you know what? Sometimes when we're missing shots, it affects our defense. Tonight, they started to make some after that grinded out second quarter, and it affected their defense, which we're going to talk about right now. So, Philadelphia rookie Jared McCain, he's been playing great basketball. Maybe the front runner for rookie of the year right now. It's early, but there has to be a front runner somewhere. He's been great, making shots all over the place. Mid-range threes, playing pick and roll really well. Tonight he came in, got on the board really quickly once he started getting some touches, made 2 quick threes on threes that are kind of like those rookie year Duncan Robinson threes where you're on the scouting report, but guys are still learning your reputation, and Jared McCain was getting some of those early open shots that he's not going to get a lot of in his career if he keeps playing like this. He makes 2 quick threes, scores a couple in pick and roll. Now Eric Spoelstra has a decision to make. Look around the league. When a star player, when like a high-usage ball handler kind of a guy is playing really well. What does Spoelstra usually do? He dials up the pressure. He says, we're not going to give you the same look all game. We're not just going to give you drop coverage. We're not just going to give you, a soft show. We're going to get the ball out of your hands because we're not going to let that guy beat us when he's playing so well. And they gave Jared McCain that kind of star treatment tonight. What happened, starting the second quarter, McCain runs a pick and roll. Now Bam is blitzing McCain, trying to get the ball out of his hands, getting him back on his heels. And McCain handles it really reasonably well a few times, but it does get the ball out of his hands, and the passes aren't on time, on target. All of a sudden, Philadelphia's rhythm is just a little off kilter because you put pressure on the ball hand, put pressure on the guy that was 5 seconds ago he was comfortable. Now he's starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable. That blitz, we see it again and again throughout the rest of the game. Kevin Love comes in. He's in that second quarter unit. He's in again in the third quarter. Now Kevin Love's base coverage usually is a show. Bam will play drop. Kevin Love, they like to have him show out so he doesn't have to switch, but he shows out long enough for his guy to recover. Sometimes he'll play a little, catch coverage too. He'll drop back a little bit, but tonight they got really aggressive. Eric Spoelstra turned that dial up to 11, and blitz, 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 blitz. Jared McCain was feeling the pressure. Philadelphia, all of a sudden, as the game wore on, and we're in the third quarter, Miami is making those shots. Philadelphia is really playing on their heels. And it's not just McCain. This factors into everything that Miami was trying to do defensively. They were, in Eric Spoelstra parlance, they were making the Sixers feel them. That's what Miami wants their defense to be. They want to be disruptive. They want to put pressure on you. They want you to make mistakes. And Philadelphia started to make mistakes. They started to give up pick six turnovers, really fed Miami's machine in the way that they want. They want that feedback loop of defensive pressure turning into offensive looks. Here's the number to know. In McCain's first 7 pick and rolls of the game, the Philadelphia 76ers, this is factoring in first passes, so assist opportunities for McCain. Those first 7 pick and rolls produce 1.5 points per, according to Second Spectrum tracking data. His last 7 pick and rolls in the second half produced 0 points per. Nada. Nothing. That was all pressure. Miami getting the ball out of his hands, making the pass uncomfortable, blitzing. Pressure. That's, when Eric Spoelstra doesn't like the flow of a game, he's going to change the flow, change the rhythm. That's what they did. McCain got back on his heels a little bit, and all of a sudden that was pervasive everywhere on the floor. Then Philadelphia was on their heels. Miami made their shots to get the lead in that third quarter, but then they got cold again, and it was that defense that really slammed the door shut when the offense was leaving it just a little bit ajar if Philadelphia wanted to make a push. So that's what we got tonight. Really nice win for Miami after a 2-4 road trip. They get to go into this 5-day break feeling good about themselves. They're getting a little bit more whole. Jaime Jaquez Jr. didn't play tonight. Terry Rozier didn't play tonight, but they got Jimmy back. The injured guys get some time to heal up. They don't play again until Sunday. So nice win. Coming back from 19 down at home, the energy of the game wasn't that great. Jimmy changes it. Eric Spoelstra makes decisions that change the game. Drew Smith, Alec Burks, Haywood Highsmith, Kevin Love, that unit changed the game. And now everybody gets to feel good for 5 days. And if you want to read more about the game, you can read Coop's Takeaways up on Heat.com. And until Sunday, when the Heat play the Dallas Mavericks, I'm Couper Moorhead. This has been After the Buzzer, and I'll see you later. Take care.
One more from the squad. The Heat YouTube channel has it all.